Welcome to the Nutrition Collaborative podcast, where we cut through the noise, bust the myths, and bring you nothing but truth about health, fitness, and everything in between. I'm Alec Moore, dietitian, and each week we'll dive into what really works when it comes to achieving lasting health and fitness. No gimmicks, no BS, just real talk, real success stories, and a holistic approach to living your healthiest life. Whether you're here for practical tips, inspiration from real client journeys, or just to find out what's actually worth your time, this is the podcast for you. Let's break it down, get empowered, and focus on what truly matters for your health. And we're off. Another episode of the NC podcast back. You guys loved the first one, so we're back with another one with Coach Steven here. We had to bring him back on. What's going on, Steven? Happy Friday, sir.
Happy Friday, Alec. Happy to be here again. Our last podcast, totally banger.
Fat Loss Foundations.
Exactly, Fat Loss Foundations. And I think today's episode is also probably going to just carry off of that too. And
absolutely.
So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. So happy to be here, man.
Love it. You've been having a good week?
Totally a good week. Busier than ever.
Busy?
But it's fun work, because I love what I do. And I'm able to really pour into myself as well at the same time, which helps me then pour into my clients and into the content that I put out as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you do morning workouts, right?
Yeah. I do 5:30 a.m.
5:30 a.m. Wow. It's impressive. I know Derek does that too.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. Last year I tried like 6 to 6:30 a.m. starts for like twice a week for a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. I did, because I don't do that anymore. I think stress and poor sleep management took over, but that is what we're going to talk about today. And I need to take my own advice on a lot of that.
Yeah.
But that's a good reminder that it's not like when we get into control of our own nervous system, or when we get into good stress management, it's like, it's not just a flip of a switch and then it's a permanent forever thing. It's like a thing that we have to constantly, because life is always evolving. There's always, different responsibilities, different seasons of life and all of that, that if you have good stress management, doesn't mean that you're going to have good stress management forever if you don't keep those practices in place.
Yeah.
And so today's episode, I definitely want to talk about all of those things when it comes to stress management, sleep, hygiene, blood sugar even, and meal composition, stimulant use for sure. In today's overstimulated society with these things right here, these phones and these apps and social media and these quick 5-second videos that just keep us overstimulated. And it's just triggering the sympathetic nervous system to work in overdrive with all the responsibilities we have every day. Bosses yelling down our throat or yelling down our neck, and then, multiple kids at home, just constantly something to be stressed about, or that can weigh on you when it comes to stress and all of that. So I definitely want to talk about sympathetic nervous system today, and just to help the folks learn certain ways and things to think about when it comes to regulating and managing your own nervous system, your own stress management.
Yeah.
So, because here's the thing, you get poor sleep. It's a cyclical thing. You get poor sleep, then you're tired all day, and then you hammer stimulants.
Yeah.
But what does that cause? You to be up all night.
Yeah.
And it's cyclical.
The issue.
So we are always, reaching for caffeine or reaching for that hack, but we're never, I don't want to say never, very minimally looking at the very obvious right in front of our eyes. And, as coaches, we work with that all the time. We see people say, well, I'm tired, or I'm drained, or I'm this, or I'm that. It's like, okay, what have we done to affect or impact the root cause of that, to address let's go to the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easy to drink an energy drink and feel that temporary jolt, but it's only driving further of a sympathetic nervous system drive. So it's not, because then you're on alert, but it's a false fight or flight mode. It's not a relaxed or controlled state. And then that's just, it spikes cortisol, drives irritability, drives anxiety, and then further poor sleep. And then people wonder why the heck they're not burning fat, or why the heck they just can't even make it to the gym in the first place. And that's what we definitely want to talk about today. So what are your thoughts on stimulant use? Is it friend? Is it foe? Is there benefits in the short term for like, pre-workout early enough in the day? Where do you kind of like, what's your take on stimulant use right now? Because for me, I'm not like fully opposed to it, but to me, it's like strategic and not
Yeah.
abused.
Yeah.
So, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yes. And my personal thoughts on stimulant use, I'm all for it. As long as we're taking care of ourselves in the kitchen, because I
Mm,
think that's where most of our feel good feelings come from. Just what we're doing in the kitchen. How are we feeding our bodies? So, caffeine has been shown time and time again to be very beneficial for endurance training, for strength training, right? It gives you that extra boost of energy. So for sure, I'm probably still going to keep drinking caffeine, but I'm
same.
also going to prioritize what I'm putting inside my body, right?
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if all we're doing is pounding caffeine, let's say we do a ghost in the morning and then a ghost in the middle of the day and then a monster at night,
Hmm.
and we're wondering why we're so tired, fatigued, and low energy, all we're really doing is putting a band-aid. I think you've seen those videos online where I think it's
Hmm.
a gallon of or a 5-gallon water jug and they put a band-aid over it, but it keeps leaking. And so we put
Yes.
another band-aid on it and then it keeps leaking, and then we put another band-aid on it. And so
Hmm.
that's essentially what most people are doing when they're over consuming, energy drinks, caffeine. And what is the root cause? How do we actually seal that hole off? Well, it's going to come down to what are we putting inside our bodies? How are we recovering, or how are we prioritizing that recovery?
Yeah, mentally too, not just the physical, like, oh, I'm sore recovery, but
Yeah,
like the psychological aspects of and what that takes up from like bandwidth perspective, cognitively, psychologically. I don't know about you, but if and you said this week was very busy. So on the weekends for me, Saturday is a day where I try to like just have a full rest. Just try to, minimal meetings or none at all,
yeah,
and let myself just like come down from the week and just recover mentally too, right? So not so much physically. So, but the I think the most important thing there is just awareness, being conscious of it, like because we're not going to feel our own stress until it's like off the rev limiter, just 10 out of 10. Nobody really recognizes it for their own. Like we see other people like speeding around the grocery store, and they might not even recognize that they're in a stressed state or sympathetically driven, but we see it. You know what I mean? So because I think we've grown up in a society that's just push, 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 go, go, go,
yeah.
do, and because people are trying to make ends meet in this terrible economy. I could go down a whole different rabbit hole with that.
Sure, definitely.
I think we have to recognize it for our own. Stimulant use at the beginning, that's a perfect starting point. So loved your perspective on that. I completely agree. We cannot rely on it. It's a great tool. I love it. I'm a caffeine junkie at heart, if that's a thing. But it's just it fades fast, and it
Yeah,
does not solve the root cause. And we're very much root cause coaches in that we're not looking for hacks. We're not looking for those quick fixes because they come back to bite you every time, whether it's stimulant use or some other, hack, quote
yeah.
unquote hack. So let's talk about regulating the nervous system. Let's talk about a circadian rhythm. Let's talk about morning and evening
Mhm.
routines, like waking up with the sun, being outside. Like sun exposure is so crucial in the morning, and then having like a wind down, anti-screen night or evening routine consistently. So do you have well, obviously your workout is your morning routine. But do you have anything else like when you come back from your workout, it's just like, okay, let me decompress from the workout, shower, freshen up and get ready for the day, have a good breakfast. And then do you have any evening routines? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm trying
So
to,
let's say it's a day that I go to the gym 5:30 in the morning, and then I'm done by, I want to say 7, I think. That's when I'm kind of stepping outside of the gym, maybe 7:30. If it's a day where I'm working from home and I don't go to the day job, then I come home. I have a balcony here, which is really cool, and
oh,
I'm all about the sun as well. So like just recently I started picking up on just reading, right? And so something that I've been trying to kind of get back into. And so I step out on my balcony and just enjoy the breeze, enjoy just the sound of the trees, and
of silence.
I
Yeah.
I've just right. It's just that it's very soothing, right? It's very very soothing just to kind of be able to experience that and have that exposure. And then when I'm reading, I'm focused on that as well. And
Present in the
so
moment.
exactly, and so that really helps set the tone for the day after having already poured into myself at the gym, right? Because now after that, we're gonna dive into work, and
Yeah.
it's likely gonna get stressful. And then to your point, sunshine. Anytime I can, in the morning especially, make it a priority to get sunshine in. And so let's say it's a weekend day when I don't go to the day job and I'm just here at home. That's when I can really, really focus on my sleep. I sleep in, and first thing I do, oh, I take my progress photos if it's a Sunday, and then I go out for a walk. Right, I have a pretty nice neighborhood where I can go walk, and it's a 30-minute walk. I get the
Yep.
sun shining on my skin, and I take it all in, and it feels really, really good because then that
Mhm.
also sets the tone for the day. So that's my morning routine essentially. And I come home and then I have solid breakfast, focusing on that protein, making sure we're getting in some water, electrolytes as well, and then making sure we're getting in some healthy fats, good carbohydrates, complex
Yeah.
carbohydrates. So that's the morning routine, and that's what helps set the tone for the day.
I love that.
That's right, regulating that nervous system for me.
100%.
Yeah.
So so now the nervous system obviously, right, needs fuel, not
Mhm.
just stimulus fuel, but fuel, nutritious fuel. Do you train fasted? Do you train fed? Do you do both? And my question there is, if so, how do you get your digestive system at that hour
Mm.
to tolerate food?
Yeah, I love that question. I've worked on it, and I've gotten to a point where I could eat a good amount of carbohydrates in the morning and I'd feel fantastic in the workout. I used to go train fasted. And then to your point where you were kind of introducing stimulants and caffeine, there was a time when I'd go work out 5 a.m.
Yeah.
By 4:40, I was already pounding a Bang energy drink,
Yep.
300 milligrams, 4:40 in the
Yeah.
morning,
Before food. Before.
before anything. And I wonder why I felt like crap.
Yeah. Anxious,
Sometimes during
irritable,
the
just
workout and even after the workout.
shaky, even.
Oh my god, the shakiness
And
is
that's where blood sugar kind of
yeah,
can come into the
exactly.
topics
And
as well.
so now I'm at a point where I can have roughly 50 grams of carbohydrates before the workout, and I feel fantastic. Before, just having a little bit of something kind of upset in my stomach, right? So my
Yeah.
gut wasn't trained. And a lot
Uh-huh.
of people don't eat early morning because they feel a little weird after
Yeah.
having food in the system, right? And so
Yep.
there are baby steps to take to get that gut trained so that you can finally start feeling even more energized, and perhaps you hit even more PRs in the gym in
Yeah.
the morning. And so what I did was first I incorporated, maybe it was just a few rice cakes, right? Maybe one or two rice cakes.
Mhm.
And then from there, maybe I incorporated maybe half a banana, right? So
Mhm.
slowly but surely, like we started incorporating different things. And maybe it
Yeah.
was two granola bars this time around. And then now
Yeah.
I can honestly do a whole Cliff Bar.
Yeah.
I feel great. I can even do a reduced sugar Smucker's PB&J sandwich, and I feel freaking good.
That's
And
great.
so start with like the more simple, very simple carbohydrates, use very small amounts of it and just see how you feel. Go to the workout. The next time you go, add a little bit extra,
Yep.
right? And so
Yeah.
as time
Have to.
goes on, it feels a little better. And before
Mhm.
you know it, you're actually thankful that you took all that time to train the gut and feel
Yeah.
really, really good.
Yeah. Because if you go, first day at the gym for a morning workout, for your first morning workout or whatever, and you go and you're not used to having breakfast until 9 a.m.,
Yeah.
and you go and have a chorizo breakfast sandwich, at 5 a.m., it's not going to sit well at all on the tummy. So I love your perspective there. And I fully agree. But walk me through. So the rest of the day, because you mentioned, we talked about like simple sugars, we talked about just blood glucose, and that kind of triggered some thoughts about the rest of the day's impact of like meal composition, and blood sugar regulation, and its impact on nervous system regulation. Because if you picture it, like if you are having a meal composition that's just chaotic or sporadic, and you have 80 carbs in one meal that has 10 grams of protein, and then in the next meal you have 20 carbs and 80 protein, I feel like that is so, I don't want to say dysregulating. It is not conducive to this whole nervous system topic that we're on, and managing it and controlling it. So what would that look like for you if blood sugar is key, or managing your blood sugar is key in just the nervous system topic of the getting to a point where you are in control of it, you are regulating it through fuel and not stimulants and not these hacks and stuff, but through fuel? What would you say? What are like a couple tips that you would say for meal composition for blood sugar management so that we're not having these like swings in blood glucose, which is then kind of triggering some sympathetic drive in the nervous system.
Yeah, to that point, I used to be someone I grew up as a heavier kid, and so first thing that I was having in the morning was a breakfast croissant, chocolate croissant perhaps, maybe even a large latte. And what is the composition of that? I want to say probably 80 grams of carbohydrates or more, and mostly coming from just added sugars, right?
Yeah.
And maybe there was a little bit of, if it was a ham and cheese croissant, maybe a little bit of cheese and a little bit of protein from the cheese and the ham, and a lot of fat if it's a croissant as well. And so, not a lot of protein. In order for us to feel very good, we have to really focus on how much of protein we're having at that meal, how much carbohydrate, and what type of carbohydrate we're having, as
Mhm.
well as what kind of color and extra fiber could we add to that meal. So say you're someone who works out in the morning, you have, a little PB&J sandwich or maybe two granola bars before the gym. You come home after the gym, now we're going to have a solid breakfast.
Mhm.
I want you to think, I want whoever's listening, I want you to think about how many meals do you typically have per day? And ideally, you kind of want to aim for 3 to 4 hours in between meals. I think that's kind of like a sweet spot for most people. You can do
Mhm.
a little less, right? If you want to add more meals in, but between 3 to 4 hours or space out your meals every 3 to 4 hours. And that's likely going to help you just balance blood sugar. Now, what does a meal look like after the gym or for breakfast? I like to aim for that minimum 20 grams of protein. If you can go more, go up to 30, 45.
Mhm.
That alone is going to help digestion and help your energy levels because the protein actually helps slow digestion down a little bit. And so let's say you're someone who also has pre-diabetes and has trouble with their blood sugar. That's going to prevent that rapid blood sugar spike after consuming something with carbohydrate in it. And
Mhm.
so if before adding protein your blood sugar was this high, after adding protein your blood sugar is now going to be more leveled off. And
Mhm.
so that's where we feel good. That's how we feel energy levels stable.
Yeah.
So that's the protein side of it. It's already helping you balance energy.
Yeah.
Now let's look at our complex carbohydrates. Maybe we're having some potatoes in the morning. Maybe we're having some whole grain waffles or something like that. Or maybe we're having, some whole wheat bread. So now the carbohydrate is giving us fiber. The protein is giving us, we already talked about the protein. So fiber, protein together will even further help you regulate your blood sugar. Again,
Yeah.
keeping that blood sugar spike leveled off.
Yep.
Now we can talk about our fruits and veggies, just another addition of fiber
Mhm.
to that same point, helping control blood sugar. And
So you
now maybe we're adding some fats. Again,
mm,
slow down digestion, helps your body utilize the blood or the carbohydrates much more efficiently. So we're really always looking at what's our protein source, what's our carb source, what kind of color we having, and could we add some kind of fats in there? Right. Maybe it's a
100%.
four or eight, little almonds or something like that. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of what a meal should look like every 3 to 4 hours.
And so people will have one or two of those components, if that, and then be throwing in. So glucose is just this early in the day when cortisol is already higher in the morning hours. So then you're spiking cortisol higher, blood sugar higher,
Yeah.
and sympathetic nervous system activity higher. It's 1 p.m. Why does everybody get that 2 p.m. crash?
Yeah.
It all comes crashing back down.
Exactly.
Blood sugar, cortisol, all of it. You are getting tired between 2 to 4 p.m. because you are not doing what you just explained of sustained blood glucose control through proper protein, fiber, fat, meal composition,
Yeah.
and distribution throughout the day.
Yeah. So when someone asks me, dude, I feel so tired right now. First question that I ask them, cool. What was your meal like this morning?
You mean my caffeine beverage?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's very common. And I mean, I catch myself. It's very easy to go about your day and
Yeah.
just get lost in your day with your
Exactly. Yeah.
responsibilities.
Yeah.
And especially for those who commute to work, where they have to like meal prep. Like for me, I have the blessing of working from home. Not everybody has that, right? So they can't just walk 30 feet from their office to their kitchen to grab a bite. So planning and preparing. My rule for the, or I don't want to say, I don't like creating food rules. That's silly. So I don't want the audience to think that we're coming up with rules here, but a good guideline to follow is, or yeah, guideline is a good word. Always be one step ahead.
Yeah.
Always be nutritionally equipped so that you have food stocked up That's like the first step to nervous system regulation. Prioritizing your food, having it stocked up, batch cook or meal prep at the beginning of the week so that you're not forced into this sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, poor glucose control, high stimulant week. And then it's just cyclical. And you just wonder why you are, chronically fatigued, hair's falling out, stressed as can be, brittle nails, all these, irritable with your relationships, with your friendships. So those are all huge, huge points. Let's talk about insulin sensitivity then, as you just want to shift gears a little bit. It is obviously on the topic of blood sugar. So talk to me what you know about like insulin sensitivity and how it generates a smoother or better control of that can have a smoother energy curve throughout the rest of the day and less like sympathetic load on the body and psychologically too the
Yeah,
rest of the
yeah.
day. Let's talk
Insulin
about that.
sensitivity. Yeah, it's huge, right? And it's a part of the fat loss foundations that we kind of already discussed in our
Yep.
previous podcast. And to I kind of want to really dive into just getting to the gym, moving the body, right? If you can lift weights, train 2, 3 times out of the week, phenomenal, phenomenal. If you can do something at home, do some body weight exercises, phenomenal. As long as we're just moving the body. If you can't get to the gym, let's try to get some walking in, right?
Mhm.
And so, why am I talking about resistance training? Well, it's because when we're putting our muscles through range of motion, say it's a bicep curl, right? I actually have a little model right here. Bam.
Nice. That's great.
If we're doing a bicep curl, right? If we're doing a bicep curl, in order for this muscle to contract, we need sugar, we need glucose. And so let's say we go to the gym and work out for 30 minutes to an hour. We hit a full body session, we hit some chest, shoulder press, maybe some leg press, and something of that sort. After that workout, for the next 24 hours, your body is going to become more insulin sensitive. So if you're
Mhm.
someone who's struggling with energy, maybe you have high blood sugar that your doctor has diagnosed you with, getting to the gym and resistance train. Start with two days out of the week, 3 days out of the week. Your body
Mhm.
will over time get better at utilizing glucose and fatty acids, so fats that are in the blood as well.
Mhm.
So that's how we were able to improve our energy. If you want to
Mhm.
feel good, if you want to feel like you're not bogged down, let's get to the gym and let's start lifting some weights.
Mhm.
And I know just the first part of that, getting into the gym, can be a little scary, but I promise you that the more you just do it, the easier it's going to become. So
Mhm.
that's why we're always preaching training, resistance training.
Yeah. And I think as a maybe like a nuanced kind of piggyback off of that, I think is just the nervous system fatigue it generates that allows you to then actually get into a like you mentioned, you feel at peace on your balcony after the workout. You know what I mean? Because you just drove that sympathetic activity in the workout and then you were able to actually like, okay, come back to center, which is parasympathetic, rest and digest state for that 30 minutes on your balcony, 10 minutes on your balcony, and it just can help you manage the rest of your day and your nervous system the rest of the day so much better. So I think that's yeah, so key. Great points on glucose, insulin sensitivity, resistance training. Not only is it healthy for you, not only is it going to preserve your life, but it's also how you, at the very root, can manipulate your own nervous system and control it, and then not be, you know, having to sleep all weekend just to get through the next week again because you're catching up on nervous system recovery with parasympathetic work. And so that actually brings me to another point is what are parasympathetic sort of like activities or techniques or behavior and when to do them? And I think for me, it could be whenever you feel the need, whenever you feel stressed or whenever you feel like, you're in traffic and you're yelling it. So it's like, okay, I'm going to pull over. I'm going to take 10 deep breaths and then move on with my day. So, something like that. So it's like meditation, breath work, anything that is like grounding you.
Yeah.
10 minutes on your balcony, not looking at a phone or a screen or a distraction, singing, dancing, humming, like just gives you presence in the moment that is not having your nervous system on and in the chaos of life.
Yeah.
Strategically, I think the best time to do it though is before bed or post dinner in the evening because that's when cortisol should be at its lowest anyway, and you can truly tap into that parasympathetic state. So like I said, meditation, breath work, painting, coloring, sewing, knitting, crocheting, singing, dancing, just anything that is not fitness or exercise or that gets your heart rate up, drives sympathetic activity. Think anything that's calming and soothing.
Yeah.
And then these screens and blue lights, that's a whole different topic that people are just laying in their dark rooms at night, just right in front of their faces. Any other evening routine thoughts that you have or ideas that you'd like to see in yourself or in your clients or anybody?
Yeah, so something that I've been actually doing as of recently is breath work. And I've actually like talked to a couple of my clients about pulling themselves out of stressful situations and just breathing, right? And I'm like, just take
Mhm,
like for the next 2 to 5 minutes, just take 5 big deep breaths into the nose, out the mouth, and like
mhm,
just after one breath, you already feel like some kind of load off of your shoulders. Like it's
mhm.
insane what you feel by just focusing on your breathing. And so that's what I've been really telling my clients, right, to kind of incorporate into their day to day.
Yep.
And things that I've been doing is meditating. So I literally just sit on my bed, right? And I've done it a couple times already where I just meditate for like I started with like 5 minutes and this one time I got up to like 20 minutes. And so
Nice.
it was later in the night. And so to your point, yes, it would be more beneficial to do that, to do those
Yeah.
things later in the night when you're already kind of winding down. And
Yeah.
then as you're getting into bed, you're feeling really good. And if you can get some breathing, some breath work done right
Mhm.
before bed, oh my God, yeah, that's gonna
You're
significantly
gonna sleep so much better. And yeah, that's the definition of regulating your nervous system, what this episode is all about. And I think another thing just that I want to add is like the sympathetic nervous system is driving when you are either thinking of things in the past or in the future, both of which you cannot control. That's where I think a lot of anxiety stems from. Parasympathetic, what you just said there with presence and like in the moment, it forces you to not be in the past or not be in the future, cognitively, psychologically, mentally, whatever. And you can actually sit there and be at peace on your balcony or in your bedroom or wherever. And to me, that's where we can digest food better. That's where we can make better decisions, where we can sleep better. And that is where just better control over your nervous system. So let every little thing that comes up in life, because there will always be chaos, always something trying to just throw you off your game or stress you out. You're not going to just, it's the end of the world over every little thing, and obviously there's a ton of things, subcategories or subtopics that we could talk about when it comes like medications and their impact on driving sympathetic nervous system. Like ADHD medication is a stimulant and can drive that sympathetic activity. So it might be different for those with different diagnoses, different conditions when it comes to heart rate, blood pressure. But that is a little bit deeper science than we're planning to talk about in this episode. But it just goes to show how important the nervous system is. So feeding it properly, doing things habitually in a way that supports it, resistance training, controlling your blood glucose, all can feed into that so that you don't have to go crack that can
Yeah,
at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. just to survive your day.
exactly.
That's what it comes down to.
Exactly.
I'm glad we're on the same page there because, and it's tough with clients, they, like we say it, they don't always believe it because it can be almost, how do I say this? Addicting. I think this is a whole, we didn't have this plan at all, but
Yeah.
I think some people are addicted to their own stress. That's a whole different topic, but I think they're so used to it. I think it drives them forward
Mhm.
because it forces them to execute or it forces them to make decisions or it forces them into things. They're so addicted to their stress that they don't allow themselves to be in a parasympathetic state. And this could go back to, this is probably maybe more for like someone in therapy or something like
Yeah.
conversationally would be addressed more in therapy than coaching. At the end of the day, we're working with the human in the first
Yeah.
place and human behavior, human psychology. I think it's important to say, because I know some people out there are probably listening to this and they're probably like, holy crap, I've been in this chronic state of stress for years. Maybe I'm actually addicted to it and I need to find ways to counteract that and get to the root cause and gain control back over and everything. Because we don't make good decisions in that sympathetic state at all. That's when we get impulsive. That's when we buy stuff to fill the dopamine void. That's when we're not our best selves
Yeah.
in any way, shape, or form. So very, very interesting. Very, very good topics today. Very good conversation. Anything you want to close with, Steven?
I guess just kind of cap things off, really just what's the big takeaway here, right? Like
Yeah.
I think the big takeaway is you don't have to let's stop relying on the stimulants. Let's stop relying on the caffeine. Let's stop looking for that hack. And let's
Mm-hmm.
dive into what we could do today to be like just 1 to 10% better in terms of the training we're doing at the gym, the foods we're putting inside our body, how much sleep we're getting per night, what's our wind down looking like at night, what are we doing to just manage cortisol in the morning, right? Are we getting in some sunshine, right? So those are all variables that we have total control of.
Full control.
But subconsciously, we choose to do things that are not conducive. And so again, first step is being aware, being aware, being aware, being aware. And
Mm.
so if you want to stop high stress levels, let's focus on what we can do in our day-to-day lives.
It's easy. It's not easy. It's simple. It's a simple concept, but it's not easy because we can get into our own ways, our own habits. We're so used to living in that way, and it can be scary to come out of that. It can be scary to not have stress driving you every day. Because, like, well, what is?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, if you've been living that way for that long, what's driving you? Fear-based decisions are very, very prevalent.
Yeah.
But great stuff, man. I appreciate your time as always. I hope you
Yeah,
have a
of
great rest
course.
of your Friday. We'll wrap it up there and we'll post this out here shortly. This was
Yeah.
great.
Loving it, man. Loving it.
And we'll have you back here soon. I think the audience is definitely loving the more conversational. Fun fact, everybody, we've got Nick Newport, one of my really good buddies from Ohio, my coach, actually. He's a genius. I might be biased, but he's a genius when it comes to the training aspect of things. So we're going to be talking all things training to failure, what that means, what that looks like, RIR and what that really, really is and how to effectively use it. We're going to be talking a lot about training, resistance training in the next couple of weeks with Nick. So y'all stay tuned for that. But until then, we'll catch you next time.
Yeah. We'll see you guys.